get through the TV. That was
Right.
weird.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina. Here. Tabitha.
Yeah.
April.
Here.
Okay. Oh, we're waiting for.
Oh, I don't think I'm just gonna let her have her.
Oh, okay. Any public participation?
Well, I did, so what I ended up doing, I don't know if you noticed during that training, the TV was having sound, but when I turned my computer down, the TV sound went down, but that background noise, if you heard some echoey stuff, when I have YouTube on, you get that if my computer sound is on. So I had to shut off YouTube in order for you to only hear the television, so I just started YouTube again.
Okay.
So there may be people who are joining us again, and I'll let you my, and we'll actually. Here, I believe with us now.
Yes.
Hi, Heather.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
All right, so we were at no public participation, so we move on to number 3, which is the approval of the minutes of the October 2024 special and regular board meetings.
I make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Tabitha.
Yes.
And April.
Yes.
Okay, Lynn, on to correspondence.
Yeah, so we got just under $80,000 in for the public library fund this month. And so in December, we need just under $67,000 in order to meet our projected budget. And next month, we are actually supposed to be getting 92,000 is the projection, and even though they've been a little bit under, 4% under 92,000, we still get us to that price. So that's good math as far as I'm concerned.
Way to go for forecasting. That's pretty
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So we received a letter, and because this person made a donation, I'm not going to share the name out loud, since we potentially have some public viewing, but I wanted to read you part of this letter, that went along with this donation. It says, when considering my annual contributions, I try to focus on the things that make my life happier and the people or organizations that support me. The staff of the Fayetteville branch certainly qualifies. They never cease to be pleasant, helpful, and accommodating. And then it goes on to say, there's this check and blah, blah, blah. So kudos to you and your staff for it. But I thought it was really nice of somebody to include that along with their reasoning for giving us a donation. We also, on October 31st, I got the email, but in November, we went ahead and fulfilled a public records request. Now, we do not get these very frequently. As a matter of fact, the last time we got one was 3 years ago. It was from the same organization. The Ohio Association of Public School Employees, which is a subdivision of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, the AFL-CIO. Asking for the names, home addresses, home phone numbers, job classifications of all of our employees, plus organization chart and trustees' names. And so the first thing I do, because this is so infrequently that we get these requests, is I say to OLC, okay, has anything changed in terms of what's officially a public record that we have to provide? And while we do have to give the names and the job titles and their locations of work, it is not considered a public record, their home addresses.
Yeah, when you said that, I'm like.
Yeah, so they ask, but it's not a public record, so, within 3 business days, I provided them with the information it was legal to give them. It came at a very interesting time, because the next day was our all-staff training day, and so I let the staff know that we had had this request, and that we would not be turning over their home contact information, but that they may get contact through their work contact information from this organization. as they're seeking to
Interesting.
establish a unit in a small to medium-sized library. So there was some interesting discussion that came up amongst members of the staff, between members of the staff when I announced this, and they had some interesting discussion. But I did not participate in that discussion other than say I gave them what they needed, just be aware they may contact you.
So, and just as clarification, was it just for this library or was it for all of the libraries?
Well, so
or
it was sent to me, so it includes all of
all
our
the
4
Brown
branches.
Okay, all 4 branches,
Yes.
and then, is it just a request from the state? Or like who requested, like can anybody request it, or is it like a okay.
Yeah, anybody can, but this came from that organization, that union
Okay,
wanting this information.
gotcha.
So we provided it to them, what is allowed by law, we provided them that information.
Okay, I see.
Now, when the last public records request we got was from this same organization, and that was 3 years ago, and so, who knows, but just FYI, your names
We're just
and your
recruiting.
term limit date were part of what was requested. So your home contact information was not provided, but the fact that you're one of the trustees is then, so, FYI.
You need more stuff to-
And then Ohio Library Council, what's been going on at the state level, many months ago, actually back in the pandemic, when we all were meeting virtually, and we said, oh, wouldn't it be great to have this as an option, when we need to have it. Finally, House Bill 257 it was in its 3rd hearing, in the Senate Government Oversight Committee, which means that since it's already been through the House, it may actually get to the floor for vote in this particular legislative session. But it's also because it's lame duck and they officially end in December. There are, any bills that they want to get passed, they have to do it before they recess for the break, or else they have to start all over again. So bills that they really want passed, they're gonna be lots of them. So who knows what will happen in terms of this, but I will say that if this passes, we will have to set some policy regarding virtual meeting obligations and regulations, so just FYI. Something that's happened at the federal level is, you may recall that there was discussion about the overtime, the exemption, what's an exempt employee, and they were going to really raise the salary test for exempt employees. Well, that went into effect, and we decided, okay, our management team, which would, I would be the only employee that would make it by salary test as an exempt employee. And so we decided to go ahead and have them as non-exempt, but now a federal court has vacated that rule that the Department of Labor said. So it's gone back to the old salary level. So, we have to make a decision of whether we're going to go back and forth with, our policy and have the management team, first sometimes called exempt, sometimes called non-exempt. We can have them non-exempt and have a salary agreement with them, which essentially lets them work as exempt employees. So, yeah, so there's that. They can't make up their minds. And then the other two, not anything that specifically is impacting us right now, but it was nice to see the 26th and the 28th library levies on the ballot passed. I believe it was an average of a 59% approval rate. And then Mandy Knapp has been appointed to the vacancy as the state librarian, and I just say that because she graduated from my alma mater. We're both from Otterbein University, and she actually, when we first got the Guiding Ohio Online grant way back, she was one of the state library employees who actually created and rolled out that program, and so worked very closely with us. So, yeah, kind of cool. That's all.
Thank you, Lynn. We're gonna move on to number 5, financial report, Ms. Sarah.
Are you the virtual?
Yes, I can do this. All right, let's go
Look at
to
that.
share the screen. Let's go, oh, we don't want to share that screen.
Oh, but that's a cute one.
Yeah. All right, which one do you want to start with?
Appropriation summary,
All right.
everybody's favorite.
We'll just borrow. Way. Way. Okay. Big, what do you want to see?
So this report, I mainly focus on that middle column month to date.
Monthly expenditures. The other side too, don't you?
I'm gonna try to find a new report to release this, I think, in the new year.
Okay,
It's too much.
it's a lot.
So this report has grown substantially. And it's broke down by funds. And the fund that I pay most attention to on this report is the general fund, which is, for me, I'm just on letter size paper. It's about a page and a couple lines on the next. For legal, I'm not, it may be front and back. I'm not sure. So, I always compare September to the current month. So I'm comparing September to October. And I'm talking, the beginning of it, I'm talking about the general fund. So salaries, September versus October was slightly down $1,235. Employee benefits were also slightly down $1,126. Library materials also down, $4,965. And then purchase and contracted services, that was up $23,525. A couple big payments that I made in October, $14,000 went to ProKill, that's part of that, and then we made a large, a quarterly payment to the SEO, which is for the state of Ohio, for almost $9,000.
Okay.
So, the general month to date, in September, we had a $50,000 transfer, so we, month to date, 33,802, down compared to September. The final page, month to date expenditures at the very bottom, that's gonna give me a total of all the funds. So all the expenditures, so any money that we spent out of all the funds was $177,000. So that, it's hard to compare September because that transfer. So month to date, all funds compared to September, we're down 38,203, so. Any questions about that large report?
It's not
Clear as mud.
It's not our
Right.
favorite.
I think before we added all the new, account codes, it was much more manageable. The bank reconciliation report is the next report. So what this report shows is, the prior UAN balance, receipts for the month of October, $93,857.38. That's all the money that I brought in. One thing that includes is, PLF. And I think we received some, like the law library's quarterly or quarterly payments and things like that, so. Payments are what I paid out, so $177,884. I made no adjustments in October. In December, you'll see tons of adjustments. And then all the way at the bottom, adjusted bank balances as of 10/31, that's the total bank balances for all of our accounts. That would be People's Bank, First State, and Star. Another report that's part of this, the last page, page number 3 of this report is outstanding payments. I still have 3 outstanding payments for the month of October. American United Life Insurance Company, 2 checks to them, and then a custom printing plus, They are located in Georgetown. Those two checks are still outstanding as of today. Cash summary by fund.
Tiny thing.
So basically what I'm looking at is the expenditures, and we've already talked about this number a million times, but this is just a cleaner version of all the expenditures. So the first report that we looked at, this is like a one pager. This just shows all of the expenditures for the month of October to equal that $177,739 number. And then you'll notice the third column to the end is that bank balance that we saw on that bank report, that second report. So I'm just trying to tie back all the numbers so you can kind of see how it all works. Have some. Yeah, whatever it's called. So this is just kind of a running report that we have every month. So you'll notice October, it's now says actual instead of estimated. So general fund revenue, our PLF was $71,419. Our property tax homestead rollback, $8,351.86. Services provided from other entities, that's that law library lease agreement that we have with them. We received $7,280. Other receipts, not very much for October, $449.40. And some of those things are like hotspots that aren't turned back, fines and fees, things like that. So the month to date for revenue, we brought in $87,500.73. And then as far as the general fund expenditures, our salaries for the month, $72,707.06. And you'll notice, I said we were slightly down. If you look over to the left, you're gonna see September, and that's how I got the difference. Employee benefits, $17,167.64. Library materials and other services, $21,601.31. Other operating expenditures, $37,636.55. We made no transfers out, we had no advance out, bringing our total general expenditures, $149,112.56. This number is gonna be different than that $177,000 number I keep talking about, because this is just the general fund.
Okay.
The other one is all funds. October 2024 expenditure reconciliation. So this is a report that I put together myself, just a nice little breakdown of what I've done this month. So payments, 91,236. So that's the dollar amount of checks that I physically produced, signed, and mailed out. Gross payroll, you'll see October 15th and October 30th. Both very similar, 36,710, 36,822 for the 30th. Board chair retirement, that's the OPERS, that's your portion, the 14% from everybody's check. That's $10,294. Board chair Medicare, $1,031.55. Board chair health, $3,764.70. All of the negative numbers at the bottom, those are our Georgetown, Mount Worth, Fayetteville, and Sardinia local taxes. That's what was withheld from all the branches checks for local tax. Health insurance employee out of pocket, this is what was deducted from their check, $1,295.28, bringing our total October expenditures, $177,739.46. Public, or I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you take out the local taxes,
Mhm.
what about state taxes?
I take out state,
Is that like a different line item?
that is all included, where would that be? It would be,
I was just curious, cause you separate out the cities, I didn't know if you.
I don't separate it, but it is, I mean, we take out federal and state, and then,
So the number here is with that already taken out?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Payment listing, I mentioned ProPill, that was our one-time payment, so he can get rid of any critters that would come into the building. No critters. Forward Edge, we made some payments because we're getting all those new computers. Ingram was a nice big chunk this month. That will be huge next month, paying all our POs off. The fourth from the bottom, Treasurer State of Ohio, 8,640, that was also that, large amount that I talked about earlier, so. Oh, I didn't tell you, oh, okay, you're right. So I mentioned 91,236 was the payment amount, and at the bottom of that payment listing is that number exactly. Sometimes it's hard to back into that, I'm like, cause I get rid of all the payroll, so you don't see the people, and then you don't see the state and any payroll deduction. I get rid of this, out of this report, back into that number. Fund summary reports. I've already mentioned several things from this. What I look at is the second to last column. It says current reserve for encumbrance, that is the open POs, at the end of October. So, in September, it was 112,000, and now we're at 82,000, so as the year progresses, that number needs to go way, way, way down, so.
No, that was you last month.
And then the last report is the revenue status. And you'll notice, Lynn already mentioned the fourth line from the top is public library fund. At the end of October, we were at 84.122%. So we are definitely on track to hitting that number.
And we brought in a little bit more in the local taxes
Yeah.
than well, at least
Yeah,
the primary part of the local taxes.
yeah, we won't see any more money there, so. Any questions? I try to go, I was going really.
No, that was
That's
excellent.
super
helpful.
No,
Okay.
that was
Okay.
excellent.
I started my PowerPoint, but I've only gotten through one slide because it just went crazy, so. We'll wait.
You were great, thank you.
That helped me. Except
Now-
like that first part, that appropriation summary, I was like, oh my.
Like I said, if there's something better out there, half this, even if it was 4 pages instead of 9 pages, something, yeah. But,
It's like, oh my word.
and maybe I just show the general and not every fund. And be-
If that's what you focus on.
Yeah, it is,
Then why not?
it is, so.
Okay, we're gonna need a motion, the first of 217, to accept financial and investment reports, approve paid bills, accept donations for October 2024.
That would be me.
A second.
Mark,
Excuse me, yes.
Barb,
Yeah.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Emery, do you wanna?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I didn't know. We're ready.
Okay, now, a couple of additional motions. Next, motion to approve transfers from the general fund for permanent appropriations. 50,000 into the technology fund 2002. 100,000 into the capital improvements fund 4002. I need a motion.
And what are those for exactly?
So at the beginning of the year, so we're in the budget cycle, we're about to see the temporary appropriations, but in February, we set permanent appropriations, which is our permanent budget. And in that permanent budget, you approved transfers into different special funds.
Mhm.
And we typically wait until closer to the end of the year to actually transfer the money out of the general operating budget, just to make sure we've got enough money to do it.
So,
So these are these are the ones we have not done yet this year.
but we've already discussed
But
it.
we have, yes, they've already approved.
Okay. So moved.
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
And you may be asking, why, if you've already approved them, do we have to list them again? Because an auditor has written on an audit report that, well, where did you show that you,
Mhm.
okay, well, we'll show every time you actually move money even though they'd already approved it, so.
We document that we're gonna do it, and then we
We
document that we
did.
actually did it.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
That's crossing your Ts and dotting your
Yes,
Is.
Yes.
The auditor loves that.
yes.
Next motion is to approve the 2024 final appropriations.
And I have handouts if you wanna take one and pass it along.
So in February, we did those permanent appropriations, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the year, sometimes we find that the money was a little bit different than we decided it was going to be in February. We might get more money than we anticipated from our donations, or we might not spend out of one of the special funds. And so at the end of the year, the budget, the auditor requires that we do a kind of a true up of what really happened. And so this is.
Yeah, and then in this situation, I documented a few things at the bottom. We added the new funds 2011 all the way to 2014, so those weren't on the original. Yellow sheets, I'll say goldenrod, so. This is how it stands right now. I hope it doesn't change.
We tried really hard not to make anything change in these last several.
The Sardinia library, that looks like the biggest variance.
Yes, so we had said it, oh my goodness, 10 years ago? Was it, yeah, probably before Sarah, we had
Yeah.
started saving to put an addition on expand
Yeah.
Sardine Library. We had a verbal pledge from a donor. And so every year, just in case we
Okay.
can do this, we're just keeping that open and saying, okay, this is what we do if we had that money to do it right.
Gotcha. And then at the end, when it doesn't,
Then
you just
correct.
note that for auditing purposes.
I have to send an amended certificate saying we did not receive this
Yeah,
amount.
okay, yeah,
Can you
'cause-
please
yeah,
adjust?
Okay, cause that's like a big one.
But we have $90,000 in that account right now that is actually there. So that money doesn't go away, it stays in that special fund. And it would be lovely if we could every year go, oh, we got 25,000 extra dollars, let's put it there so we can continue building it and be prepared.
Right.
Any questions, or if not, we need a motion?
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yeah.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Next motion is to approve the 2025 temporary appropriations.
So this is the kind of the beginning of the real budget for next year. I call this the very rough first draft. I call it a spending plan because, I mean, you've heard appropriations, you've heard it. You might call, some people might call the budget, it's our plan for what we're really going to do, but at this time of the year, we don't have a lot of firm details, how much money are we gonna end up with at the end of the year, what's gonna come, so it's a very rough first draft. But we have to have it on record as the temporary appropriation, so that January 1, we can actually pay bills that we have on hand, so that's what this allows. And then by the February meeting, we know what we ended up with at the end of 2024. We have a better sense of what's gonna be coming in, and we can actually bring this up to where it needs to be in terms of, all right, we have the minimum fund that we need to have, et cetera. So this has got the general fund and every special fund that we have. I'm not going to go over all the little details, but I want to tell you enough so you know, it's not just paper that you're voting on that you don't know anything about, right? So I have been a little more cautious with the public library fund as a revenue line. You can, if it's down, I put it down $25,000 less than we had put in for this year, just because we don't know how that's gonna play out. I'd rather show less money coming in and have to adjust less later on. But the general property taxes have been coming in pretty strong, so I feel pretty confident about that number. The other services line, that 599 line, that is the contract we have with the law library, and we have that number, so that's exact in there. A little bit less in interest I'm counting on. We don't count on a lot for, we don't charge fines except for, hotspots, so we can bring in very little money that way, and we don't like to count on donations and contributions, right? So bottom line is $2.134 million is what we anticipate with the carryover that we'll bring with us, and I just took the number from your cash flow chart, that's where I came up with that,
What was
so
24, just as a comparison?
it was 700,000.
So we're projecting 700,000 less.
No, it was $700,000 roughly carryover, so we're
Oh,
projecting.
no, I'm sorry,
I'm
from the
sorry.
2.134, what was
Oh.
our
I can,
projection last year?
Okay,
Yeah, I
we can look at it by.
I was working on it
Sorry,
today.
I'm just,
Stand by.
Yes, I did, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no. I needed a substitute, so I'd stay late, kind of prepping myself, which is more work than
Yeah.
going in
Yes,
for.
exactly.
Don't say nothing.
Yeah.
She's been sick for 3 weeks. Sounds exactly like you.
You finding it?
sorry, you can come later. I was just curious, like, how much it was down.
It was 2.446 last
So
year.
about 300,000.
So roughly the amount of carryover.
like that.
Roughly.
Yeah,
Viral
because it was
pneumonia
700
has been
last
going
year.
around.
Exactly.
I get heard about,
Okay.
she went to the nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
He tells her.
I can take all this.
I had, there were like 2 or 3 children in one household that was like, 2 were hospitalized and the third one was home on meds, like little guys,
was up to
like
see.
small. sick.
Oh, yeah.
In comparison, where,
Yeah.
yeah.
The doctors have told me when I've taken my son the past couple times, the pneumonia, everything, like every cold is turning into pneumonia.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've
We've
had
had
several incidences on staff of people all of a sudden going, oh, they told me I have walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
So it's
It's,
just, it's, yeah.
My son had a random fever, just 102 out of the blue,
Oh my gosh.
and like a headache, and I'm like, and that was it.
And it went away real quick.
Well, I kept getting him, I gave him Tylenol to break it.
Medicated.
Yeah. And it would, his fever would break and then it would go back up. For like 3
Did he have
days.
pneumonia? Because that's one of the
No.
symptoms they talk
Oh,
about.
really?
Yeah,
Maybe
and
he
you just
didn't, I
walk
just-
around and you just don't know you
No,
have it.
That's, he could have, that could have been it, cause I didn't take him to the doctor, I just gave him Tylenol. But he's fine now. It's just, it was like 3 days. That could have been it, yeah. It was just random, sorry.
Yeah, that's.
Any questions? If not, we need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
One second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Amber.
Okay, on to the executive director's report, starting with the building report. And I'd like to remind everybody that Heather is here.
And Todd.
Heather
And-
and
Tanya,
Tanya
but you've got, a live
And
manager. So
are available for very difficult questions.
that's exactly right. All's quiet.
Now, I've got a
Chirp, chirp.
list of questions for Heather.
I'm sure you do have a list of questions. She probably wants to brag about 37 teens they had at their Valentine party and escape room, which is unheard of for having that, for that age group. That's a
I bet
historically
your boys there.
difficult age group to attract. So,
And Heather, any thoughts on why we were able to get 37 kiddos in the door for that event?
We reached out to the Honor Society because these kids have to have community service. So we always get some kids from that. We had several new faces from our book clubs that we're doing at the school. And then we had some of our usual kids that we see. So yeah, we were quite surprised, especially because we had an escape room plan with it. So we had to pivot. and we took half, and then half in the room and half out in the library. So it was, I mean, it was great. And Jessie's awesome. She's phenomenal. Adrienne is phenomenal. We were all able to just kind of throw in and see what we can do. But I think they had a pretty good time.
Thank you, Heather.
Next time, any escape room stuff, they will have registrations and limit
Oh,
fund
yeah.
numbers, and yeah. In future, we learned, right? Sardinia had some neat Halloween stuff going on, a chili cook-off, and Weird Willis came and told their haunted Ohio stories, and
How was that, Brooke?
That was Wes's program.
that was Wesley Clark.
Oh, that-
So that one, but I heard that people loved it and that the chili cook-off was a huge hit. So it sounds like they had a great time,
Yeah.
so
Awesome.
seems like it went well.
And here, I'm really impressed with your friends group that they did so well with their book sale.
Yes, they exceeded our friends group here, at Bayville exceeded their goal that they had. They have tried a new strategy and it seems to be working and they did great. They were very proud.
Mhm. And you'll see later in the statistics, at Georgetown, Tanya's been working really hard with the principal of the high school, and he's a new principal, Mr. Cox, I believe, and, they actually bused high school students to the public library so that principal wanted to ensure that these students had an introduction to their
That's
public
great.
library.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean,
That's what I wanna do at our schools. I've talked and talked, I can't get it to happen yet, but. it's what I want.
Sometimes, I was gonna say, the fact that the high school principal wanted to do it, I had a lot of
Yeah.
input, so that's, I mean, just really, it was a lot of work for Tanya and her staff, and I don't know, Tanya, if you have any success stories or able to, if you have a microphone and wanna say more about it, but just really cool.
We are really excited about this program. They're actually coming back every 6 weeks during the school year, and many of the teachers are implementing book reports that they get that are coming out of their books that they check out while they're at the library. And we focus on different things. The first time was just kind of getting acclimated to the library, what you can do and everything. Now each visit, we're going to focus on a different aspect. So this next time they are coming Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the first week of December. And we're going to focus on the digital aspect of the library and what they can do with their cards that way.
Great plan, great plan. Would you like me to move on to statistics, or is there something else you want to grill anybody about?
No, I'm mixing it up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not picking on Heather. I ask other people questions.
All right.
I was just gonna say, kudos, because the high school crowd is tough. And, when we all think about being back in high school, it was that stupid mandatory reading. And, I don't know, maybe things are different now, but it just wasn't fun. Just nobody really has good memories.
Like vocabulary books.
Yeah. Or Silas Marner.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Breakout
It's a-
escape room.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
my
right.
boy.
Yeah, that was another one that was.
Oh, yeah.
it's just-
Yeah.
Okay, statistics,
Statistics.
but
So-
thank you, managers.
Yeah. So if you look down your list of year-to-date, that's the next to the last column on the right there, and compare it with 2023 totals, you'll see that we have already or will exceed almost every category, this year in terms of circulation and use. So it's really, really exciting that that's happening. And I mentioned that down towards the bottom left, bottom quarter maybe, where it talks about patron accounts numbers, you can see 207 physical cards added at Georgetown. That's because of these trips from the high school. It made a huge difference there. And I just want to share one of the, you got the chat statistics, I think was in your, packets, but, the narrative, I always ask for them to give me a couple or several, sample chat sessions. And I just love this one on the back. The inquiry is UAI. And the response from my staff member, this is Tina with the Brown County Public Library, Tina from Fayetteville. I guess it's Fayetteville's day today. How can I help you today? Asking about how long the line for the remote hotspot is. And so the response from the staff member is, well, it depends upon which branch, which branch. And the answer was G-Town for life, Miss Tina.
It was.
How fun is that? It ended up being a really good time, but
Very cool.
well, and we've talked a little bit about AI and the fact that, our patrons are pretty savvy about, for the most part, well, am I talking to a human being or am I talking to a machine? And it's one of those things to be thinking about as we provide services, but yeah. G-Town for life.
Anything else on statistics? Lynn?
I
Okay,
don't have anything
nope,
else.
we're good. Next is announcements.
I do have a couple of extra paper copies of the announcements, if anybody wants them, I did send them, with the email, but if anybody does. Tracy does pass those to you. So I just listed a couple of the things going on facilities wise, we talked about Pro-Kill coming and doing his thing. And Fayetteville's recently had some emergency exit lights replaced. Community engagement activity, again, these are organizations that we regularly partner with. And so I didn't know if there was anything on that list that was actually sent out with your packets, if there was any questions. Because we have a number of the representatives here, if you have questions about any of those. I did, moving on the list of announcements, I, always kind of trying to keep in mind the things that we're looking for additional funding. And I included in your packets a copy of the proposal that Tanya and her team came up with to send to the Cook Foundation. Now, we are waiting for an answer about that, but we did ask for, they have been in the last several years providing $10,000 a year. We did ask for a little bit more for some special author visits, so we'll see if we get that or not. I had if anything good was to come out of the flood in Georgetown, it's the fact that we've been able to help some other libraries who have experienced some issues. And I took a call from the Finley Hancock library director because they are going to have their elevator is going to be out for several months, 3 months, Tanya's was out for 8 months. So I tried not to chuckle when she, was talking with this director. I said, yeah, well, let me tell you long-term how this was. And Tanya was very good about providing me some additional notes about, how they dealt with things on site. And then staff development day, one of the things I gave you tonight was just some of the documentation that we shared at staff development day. Tanya and her team came up with some really fun games. We also covered, we talked about safety and security, talking about really being able to focus on patron conduct, and that's, what you can look at. I also, sometimes I have, when I really had it together, done a little Jeopardy trivia about, the library to see what people know or what they've learned. And so we did that, and some of that's on the agenda that I gave you there. And then Stephen's readings, we're in the midst of that. If you have not experienced that with us before, that is it's kind of a mini summer reading program, but instead about being all about the kids reading and earning prizes, fun stuff for them, it's about keeping them reading outside of school. So it becomes fun instead of just required reading, and earning what we call merry money, fake bucks to spend in a Santa shop. Now, our Santa shops in each branch are, it's thanks to friends groups and other donors that we're able to, core managers go and purchase things that the kids can buy with their money. And, what we try to encourage them is, you've worked hard by reading, you've earned something, and now you can use this to buy holiday gifts for family and friends. So that's part of the whole trying to do some character building as well as keeping them reading. So, the first and second weeks of February, I'm trying to get out of 2024 really quickly here, of December is when, you know, if you come, you'll see the meeting rooms are all booked up because they've got gift wrapped things and they're doing shopping.
It's amazing.
It
This
is.
is the first year we missed it. It just came really fast,
Yeah.
but our kids always buy for all of us. They buy for all their cousins, and it's really good stuff. Like, they have really good things, and so it is good because it does teach them your hard work can give to others also. And yeah, we really have liked that one over the years.
Good. Okay, thank you, Lynn. On to committee reports. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the 10/22/24 meeting of the Personnel Committee.
And look okay, Tracy and Barb did it.
Yep. We had.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta find them.
And we need a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April, yes, Amber.
Yes.
Okay, number 6, motion to approve disposal of property, which is your straw colored.
Straw, pale yellow, and I actually have one, as I got here this evening, Brooke said, that old fax machine from 2014, it's smelling hot and it's not doing right things, can we get rid of it? I said, yeah, tell me what it is and I'm gonna ask you to add it to this list so that we can get rid of it now. We don't need anything burning up, but it's a Brother fax machine, manufactured date June 2014.
Did we say before people still fax?
That was my question.
That's
That's my question.
We
Yeah.
do have quite a few people, we don't. I mean, as far back as I can remember, I don't think we've ever received one to that. If we do, it usually is like a scammy political
Ooh,
something.
oh, I was
that
gonna say,
they're
we used to
saying.
get ones like Aruba. and
Yeah.
Aruba.
Yeah.
$1.99 or something, like.
We receive, we have patrons that still fax stuff out, I mean, every other day or something like that, people still fax them.
Yeah.
No, that was a.
But as far as us
Yeah.
receiving them,
See, I remember the company I worked at, the very first fax machine, and that was just alien technology.
Yeah.
Heather said
Everybody
public
read it.
factory.
And that was what
We
came
off.
off in the early 90s.
We
get all those forms we gotta fill out for kids and send that to doctors, and we have to fix them.
I would say doctor's offices.
There's some that were
typically.
Yeah.
You
mandatory.
can't like scan it in and PDF it?
They just always say, here's the fax number, send it this way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's been our experience too, is that doctor's offices typically.
They
want
still
to
do fax.
Yeah.
Okay, there must be some hidden.
probably
HIPAA,
thing.
something,
Yeah.
security things have to
Yeah.
get for you in order to,
We need a motion,
with that fax machine added.
adding the 9th to the 2014.
I'll make the motion. I'll make that motion.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Amber.
yes.
Number 7, motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with the State Library of Ohio for 2025 Ohio Digital Library Participation. MOU not to exceed $20,000, including up to $10,000 paid to SLO collection services and the balance in additional expenditures on digital resources.
So what does that mean? So we typically do not get the actual form. It's basically a single page form from the state library until mid-December-ish, but it's the same thing. In order to have ebooks and those things on our digital library, we have to contribute a certain amount of money, and they base this upon last year's statistics that we report to the state library that show how much we spent on materials. And so there's a percentage of that that we have to contribute in order to allow all of our patrons free access to the digital library. So that's what this is. In the last couple of years, because they tend to start, getting later in December when they actually send this, we want to get it approved so that we can be done with it and not have it, oh, this is coming real late and they want it back before we have a board meeting. So they're the maximums. When we actually get the information, I'll report it back to the board, what we actually end up doing.
I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Amber. Yes.
Okay, number 9. I need a motion to enter executive session to consider the
What
employment.
about 8?
Did I miss 8? Oh,
Don't
I
do that yet.
apologize. For some reason I had it checked off. All right, let's start over again. Number 8, I need a motion to approve the contract with Perfectly Polished Cleaning for custodial services effective 1/1/25 to 12/31/25 in the amount of $33,900, which is Georgetown 14.4, Mount Orb 13, and Sardinia 63.
They'll have a separate contract.
Yes, they have an individual, and we passed that last month. We
Okay,
broke it down,
okay.
and it says
Yeah,
that, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Is this the same as last year?
It's 1.9% increase.
Oh,
I mean, if it was 1.8,
Yeah.
it's 1.9, I'm a little.
Constant. Barb. Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Tabitha,
Yes.
April.
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Okay, number 10, motion to continue, I'm kidding, it's a joke. Number 9, motion to enter executive session to consider the employment of public employees.
I'll move.
I'll second.